In a small, quiet neighborhood, there lived an elderly black veteran. He was known for his warm smile and gentle nature. Every day, he would take leisurely walks in the local park, enjoying the fresh air and the sights around him. People in the community respected him, not just for his age, but also for his brave service during the war, where he fought valiantly for his country. This veteran had seen a lot in his life, and he carried the weight of those experiences with grace. One sunny afternoon, as he strolled through the park, he noticed children playing and families having picnics. The park was usually a place of peace, where everyone felt safe and comfortable. But that day would soon take a different turn. As he made his way down the path, he noticed a police officer standing near the playground. This officer was known for his harsh manner and had developed a reputation for being aggressive, especially towards people of color in the community. The officer approached the veteran with an air of authority. He demanded to see identification, questioning why the elderly man was in the park. The veteran, confused and taken aback, tried to explain that he was simply enjoying his day. Instead of listening, the officer's demeanor grew more intimidating. He raised his voice, making it clear that he was not interested in the veteran's side of the story. As the tension mounted, bystanders began to notice the commotion. Some people looked on in shock, while others felt a sense of helplessness. They wanted to intervene but feared the consequences of standing up to an officer. The veteran felt a wave of humiliation wash over him. He had dedicated his life to protecting others, yet here he was, facing unjust treatment in a place he considered safe. The situation escalated quickly. The officer began to push the veteran, attempting to assert his dominance. This display of aggression was shocking, especially given the elderly man's frailty. The veteran stood his ground, recalling the courage he had mustered in the face of danger during his service. He wanted to say something, to defend himself, but words failed him. Instead, he felt a mix of anger and sadness at being treated like a criminal. After what felt like an eternity, the officer finally backed down, perhaps sensing the growing unease of the onlookers. But the damage was done. The veteran was left shaken, his dignity stripped away in an instant. He walked home, replaying the encounter in his mind, struggling to comprehend how someone could treat him with such disdain. At home, he found solace in the company of his family. His daughter noticed the distress on his face as he walked through the door. Concern filled her eyes as she asked him what had happened. He hesitated, not wanting to burden her with his troubles, but the weight of the incident was too heavy to bear alone. As he recounted the events of the day, anger and hurt spilled over. He felt betrayed, not just by the officer, but by a system that seemed to disregard his humanity. His daughter listened intently, her heart breaking for her father. She encouraged him to speak up, to tell others about what had happened. But he hesitated, unsure if anyone would believe him or care enough to make a difference. Deep down, he knew that silence would only allow such behavior to continue. The thought nagged at him, igniting a flicker of determination within. As the days went by, the elderly veteran found it hard to shake off the experience he had in the park. The feeling of humiliation lingered like a shadow, following him wherever he went. Even simple things like taking a walk or visiting friends felt different. He used to enjoy those moments, but now they were tinged with fear and anxiety. He felt a deep sense of injustice, not just for himself, but for others who might face a similar treatment. One evening, while sitting in his living room with his family, he decided it was time to take action. His daughter's encouragement played in his mind, and he realized he could not let this go without speaking up. He remembered the lessons he learned in the military about standing up for what is right, no matter how difficult it might be. Drawing strength from his memories of bravery, he told his daughter that he wanted to share his story. They sat down together to plan how he could speak out. They decided the best approach would be to contact a local news station and share his experience. His daughter helped him write down everything that happened that day in the park, from the initial encounter to the officer's aggressive behavior. It was difficult for him to relive those moments, but he knew it was necessary. He wanted people to understand the fear and pain that came with being treated unfairly, especially by someone who was supposed to protect him. After finishing the letter, they sent it to the news station and waited, hoping that someone would take notice. Days passed, and they watched the news with anticipation. One afternoon, they received a call from a reporter who wanted to interview him. Excitement and nerves surged through him. This was his chance to tell his story and shed light on an issue that affected many people in his community. On the day of the interview, the veteran felt a mix of emotions. He wanted to be brave, but he was also scared of how people might react. He arrived at the news station, greeted by a friendly reporter who made him feel at ease. As he shared his story, he felt a weight lift off his shoulders. Speaking about his experience allowed him to confront the anger and humiliation he had felt for so long. The interview aired later that week, and the response was overwhelming. Viewers were touched by his bravery and the injustice he had faced. People from the community began to reach out, sharing their own stories of encounters with law enforcement. It turned out that he was not alone in his experiences. The news story sparked conversations in households, schools, and community centers about the need for change. As more people rallied around him, the veteran felt a sense of hope for the first time since the incident. A local group dedicated to addressing police brutality reached out, inviting him to join their meetings. They wanted to organize a rally to raise awareness and demand accountability from the police department. He was hesitant at first, but his family and the community's support encouraged him to get involved. The veteran began attending meetings with the group, meeting others who shared their stories of pain and resilience. Together, they discussed ways to bring about change, focusing on how to ensure that no one would have to endure what he had experienced. He listened to the anger and frustration in their voices and found comfort in knowing that they all wanted the same thing: justice and safety for their community. With each meeting, he felt stronger and more empowered. He realized that speaking out wasn't just about his own experience. It was about standing up for others who had been silenced for too long. The veteran's journey from victim to advocate was just beginning, and he was determined to make a difference, not only for himself, but for everyone who deserved to feel safe and respected in their own community. As the veteran became more involved with the community group, he felt a growing sense of purpose. Each meeting was filled with passionate discussions about how to confront the issues they faced. They talked about organizing events, reaching out to local leaders, and making sure their voices were heard. The veteran listened intently to everyone, realizing that each story shared was a thread in the larger fabric of their community's struggle for justice. One day, they decided to plan a rally to bring attention to the injustices faced by people in their neighborhood, especially those targeted by law enforcement. The veteran was excited, but also nervous. He had never participated in anything like this before, but the thought of standing up for himself and others gave him strength. His daughter encouraged him to speak at the rally, sharing his story with a wider audience. The day of the rally arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. People from all walks of life gathered in the park, holding signs and chanting slogans that called for justice and equality. The veteran felt a mix of emotions as he looked around. He saw families, young people, and even some elders who had come out to support the cause. This was a community united, and it filled him with hope. As he stood on the stage, the veteran's heart raced. He could see the crowd in front of him, and they were all there for the same reason. When it was finally his turn to speak, he took a deep breath and stepped up to the microphone. He began by sharing his story, recounting the day he was confronted by the police officer in the park. His voice trembled slightly, but he pushed through, determined to convey the pain and anger he felt. He spoke about his experiences as a black man, the fear and humiliation he had faced, not just from that incident, but throughout his life. He emphasized that no one should have to live in fear of the very people who are supposed to protect them. As he spoke, he could see the audience nodding along, their faces reflecting empathy and understanding. This connection fueled his passion, and he poured his heart into his words. When he finished, the crowd erupted in applause, People shouted words of encouragement, and some even came up to him afterward, thanking him for sharing his story. It was a moment of validation for him. He felt seen and heard for the first time in a long time. The veteran realized that by speaking out, he was not only reclaiming his own dignity, but also giving a voice to others who had felt silenced. The rally sparked conversations in the community, and local leaders began to take notice. They reached out to the group to discuss ways to address the issues raised during the event. The veteran found himself invited to town hall meetings where he could voice his concerns and push for change. With every meeting, he felt his confidence grow. He was becoming a true advocate for his community, and he loved every moment of it. As weeks turned into months, the group continued to work hard. They organized educational workshops to help residents understand their rights when interacting with law enforcement. The veteran shared his own experiences and helped others learn how to stand up for themselves. He met many brave individuals who were willing to share their stories, creating a supportive network. With each passing day, the community began to feel more empowered. The veteran's bravery inspired many, and soon, more people joined their cause. They planned future rallies, marches, and outreach programs to keep the momentum going. The veteran felt proud to be part of something bigger than himself, and he cherished the bonds he formed with others who shared his vision of a fair and just society. Through this journey, the veteran discovered not just his voice, but also the power of community. He learned that together, they could challenge the status quo and work toward a future where everyone was treated with dignity and respect. Each step they took brought them closer to that goal, and he was determined to keep moving forward, driven by hope and a sense of purpose that had reignited in his heart. As the veteran continued to engage with his community, he found himself in a position he never expected to be in. He was becoming a local leader, someone people looked up to for guidance and inspiration. This newfound role filled him with a sense of responsibility. He knew that with every story he shared and every meeting he attended, he was not just fighting for himself, but also for countless others who felt unheard. One afternoon, he received an invitation to speak at a community college. The students wanted to hear about his experiences and the importance of standing up against injustice. At first, he was nervous about addressing a younger audience, but he knew this was a chance to reach people who could be future advocates for change. The night before the event, he prepared his notes, reflecting on the lessons he had learned and the journey he had taken. When he arrived at the college, he was greeted by enthusiastic students eager to learn. The room was packed, and he could feel the energy in the air. As he began to speak, he shared his story, focusing on the need for empathy and understanding in society. He spoke of the fear he felt during his encounter with a police officer and how that fear had turned into a determination to fight for justice. The students listened intently, their faces showing concern and compassion. After his talk, the students had many questions. They asked him about his military service, what inspired him to speak out, and how they could help in the fight against injustice. The veteran was encouraged by their eagerness to learn and make a difference. He shared with them practical steps they could take, like participating in community events, educating themselves on civil rights, and standing up for their peers. The conversation flowed naturally, and he could see the passion in their eyes. It reminded him of his own youthful idealism, the hope that drove him to serve his country. He encouraged them to channel that passion into action, to be brave in the face of adversity, and to support one another in their endeavors. After the event, several students approached him, expressing their gratitude. They told him that his story had inspired them to take a stand against injustice in their own lives. One student, in particular, mentioned a recent experience where they felt marginalized and didn't know how to respond. The veteran listened carefully and shared how important it was to speak up and seek support from others. In the following weeks, the veteran continued to engage with the college, forming a partnership with students to promote awareness about social issues. They organized events, inviting speakers from various backgrounds to discuss topics like racism, police brutality, and community healing. The veteran found himself energized by the students' enthusiasm and fresh ideas. It felt good to collaborate and build a movement that was rooted in hope and solidarity. As more people joined their cause, they began to see real change within the community. Local businesses started to support their initiatives, offering venues for events and resources for educational workshops. The veteran was amazed at how quickly things were evolving. It was a testament to the power of collective action and determination. One evening, the group hosted a community forum where residents could voice their concerns and share their experiences. The veteran was proud to see so many people come together, and he felt a sense of belonging among them. It was a safe space where everyone felt encouraged to speak openly about their feelings and fears. During the forum, stories poured out from the crowd. Some shared painful experiences with law enforcement, while others expressed their hopes for a more equitable future. The veteran listened carefully, taking mental notes of the issues that needed to be addressed. It was clear that the community was ready for change, and he felt honored to help guide that transformation. By the end of the night, the atmosphere was charged with a sense of unity and determination. The veteran realized that this was just the beginning. He had become part of a larger movement, one that was not just about his own experience, but about creating a better future for everyone. He was inspired by the resilience of his community, and together, they were ready to continue the fight for justice, hand in hand. With the community rallying around the cause, the veteran felt a sense of urgency and purpose like never before. The forums and events they organized were just the beginning. He realized they needed to take their efforts further. Together with the students and local activists, they began to brainstorm ideas for initiatives that could lead to real, lasting change. One idea that emerged was a mentorship program that connected young people with community leaders. The veteran thought about his own journey and how important it was to have guidance and support. He wanted the younger generation to have access to mentors who could inspire them and help them navigate challenges. The students loved this idea and quickly got to work, reaching out to community members who would be willing to participate. As the program began to take shape, the veteran found himself excited about the possibilities. They held meetings to discuss how they could pair mentors with youth based on their interests and goals. They wanted to create a space where young people felt safe to ask questions and share their concerns. The veteran volunteered to be one of the mentors, knowing he had valuable life experiences to share. The first mentorship meeting took place in the community center, and the energy in the room was palpable. Young people arrived with eager faces, excited to meet their mentors. The veteran greeted them with a warm smile, welcoming them to a place where they could learn and grow together. As he introduced himself, he shared a bit of his story, emphasizing the importance of resilience and standing up for one's beliefs. Throughout the meeting, the mentors and mentees engaged in meaningful conversations. The veteran listened as the young people talked about their hopes and dreams, but he also heard their fears about the future. Some spoke about feeling discouraged by the challenges they faced in their neighborhoods, while others shared personal stories about their experiences with discrimination. The veteran encouraged them to share their thoughts openly, reminding them that their voices mattered. He shared his own struggles and how he had learned to overcome adversity, emphasizing that they were not alone in their journey. He encouraged them to lean on each other and to build a network of support. Over the next few months, the mentorship program grew. The veteran and other mentors met regularly with their mentees, helping them set goals and explore career options. They organized workshops on topics like resume building, public speaking, and leadership skills. The young people thrived in this supportive environment, gaining confidence and knowledge that would empower them in the future. The veteran began to see changes not only in the young people, but also in the community as a whole. Families started attending the events together, bringing a sense of unity that had been missing. Neighbors who had never spoken to each other began to form connections, sharing their stories and experiences. The veteran felt a deep sense of pride in what they were building together. As the mentorship program flourished, the veteran knew they needed to take their message beyond the community center. He suggested organizing the community-wide event to celebrate their progress and raise awareness about the issues they were fighting against. The idea was met with enthusiasm, and soon, Everyone was working together to plan a day filled with activities, speakers, and information booths. On the day of the event, the park was transformed. Colorful banners hung from trees, and tables were set up with information on resources available to residents. The veteran looked around, feeling a wave of joy as he saw families enjoying themselves and young people engaging with one another. It was a beautiful display of community spirit. As the event kicked off, various speakers took the stage to share their stories and discuss the importance of justice and equality. The veteran was one of the last speakers of the day, and as he stepped up to the microphone, he felt a mix of pride and gratitude. He spoke passionately about the journey they had taken together and the importance of continuing the fight for change. He urged everyone to stay involved, to keep supporting one another, and to remember that change starts from within. The crowd erupted in applause, and he could see the determination on their faces. That moment reinforced his belief that together they could make a difference. As the day came to a close, the veteran looked around at the smiling faces and felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The seeds they had planted were beginning to grow, and he knew that their collective efforts would continue to bear fruit. It was a reminder that while the journey was long, they were moving in the right direction, hand in hand, toward a brighter future for all. As the months rolled on, the veteran found himself deeply embedded in the heartbeat of his community. The success of the mentorship program and the community event sparked a new wave of enthusiasm among residents. People began to feel empowered, and they started to see their own potential to create change. It was as if a light had been turned on, illuminating paths that had previously seemed dark and uncertain. One day, during a routine meeting with the mentorship group, the veteran noticed a change in the young people's attitudes. They were eager, confident, and ready to take on more responsibilities. Inspired by their growth, he encouraged them to come up with their own ideas for projects that could further benefit the community. The room buzzed with excitement as they brainstormed, each idea more creative than the last. One young woman suggested creating a community garden. She spoke passionately about how gardening could not only beautify their neighborhood, but also provide fresh produce for families. Others chimed in, discussing the potential for educational workshops on nutrition and sustainability. The veteran's heart swelled with pride as he watched the young people take ownership of their ideas. He could see how far they had come since their first meetings, and it filled him with hope for the future. With the garden idea gaining traction, they began planning how to make it a reality. The veteran suggested reaching out to local businesses for support. They could donate materials or even sponsor the project. The group agreed, and together, they crafted letters and made phone calls. It was a new experience for many of them, but they were determined to see it through. After several weeks of hard work and persistence, they secured funding from a local gardening supply store and the support of a nearby community organization. The veteran was thrilled. He realized that they had built strong connections within the community, and those connections were essential for driving change. On the day of the garden's grand opening, the excitement was palpable. The veteran stood at the edge of the plot, surrounded by young people and community members. The area had been transformed into a vibrant space filled with flowers, vegetables, and herbs. Children ran around, playing in the dirt, while adults chatted and shared gardening tips. It felt like a celebration of life, hope, and unity. As the veteran prepared to speak, he felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He reflected on how much had changed since that fateful day in the park. He now stood in a place where his voice mattered, where his experiences could inspire others. He addressed the crowd, sharing the vision behind the garden and the hard work that had gone into making it a reality. He praised the young people for their initiative and determination, reminding everyone that they could create a better future when they worked together. The garden became a central gathering place for the community. People came together to plant, care for the plants, and share meals made from the fresh produce they harvested. Workshops were held regularly, teaching families about healthy eating and the importance of sustainability. The veteran felt immense joy as he watched families thrive and children learn the value of hard work and teamwork. As the seasons changed, so did the garden. It became a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder of what the community could achieve when they united. The veteran realized that this wasn't just about growing plants. It was about growing relationships, fostering understanding, and nurturing a sense of belonging. Through the garden, many community members discovered new friendships and shared experiences that bridged generational gaps. The veterans saw children learning from their elders, while older generations found joy in teaching and sharing their wisdom. It was a beautiful cycle of learning and growth, and it filled him with happiness to see how far they had come. As the veteran reflected on the journey, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that the work wasn't done. There were still challenges to face and barriers to break down. But he was no longer afraid. With the community by his side, he felt ready to take on whatever came next. Together, they had created something special, and he was excited to see how far they could go. Each step forward brought them closer to a brighter future, and he was proud to be part of this movement for change. As the community garden flourished, so did the veteran's commitment to fostering a sense of unity and empowerment among his neighbors. He realized that the garden was not just a physical space. It had become a hub for connection and collaboration. People who once barely exchanged greetings were now sharing tips on gardening, cooking together, and organizing events that brought joy and excitement to their neighborhood. Inspired by this newfound camaraderie, the veteran decided to take things a step further. He thought about how they could expand their efforts to reach even more people. After brainstorming with a mentorship group, they came up with the idea of hosting a community day once a month. This would be a day dedicated to celebrating their achievements, sharing resources, and inviting new members to join their growing family. The veteran and the young people began planning the first community day, discussing activities that would engage families and individuals of all ages. They decided to include workshops on various topics such as cooking healthy meals, arts and crafts for kids, and even discussions on community issues. The excitement was contagious, and everyone pitched in to make it a success. On the day of the first community day, the veteran arrived early to set up. He felt a mix of anticipation and nerves, hoping that people would show up. As families began to arrive, he was filled with joy. The park was alive with laughter, and the smell of fresh food wafted through the air. Tables were decorated with flowers from the garden, and the sound of children playing echoed all around. The event kicked off with a welcome speech from the veteran. He thanked everyone for coming and reminded them of how far they had come as a community. He shared stories of the garden, the friendships that had blossomed, and the incredible work everyone had done together. As he spoke, he could see smiles on faces and nods of agreement from the crowd. It was a moment of pride for him, knowing that they were all part of something special. Throughout the day, various activities took place. The cooking workshop was a big hit, with families gathering to learn how to prepare nutritious meals using the fresh vegetables from the garden. The veteran watched as people laughed and shared recipes, bonding over their love for food and healthy living. It was a reminder that food could bring people together in a unique way. Meanwhile, the arts and crafts station was bustling with kids creating colorful paintings and decorations. Parents and grandparents joined in, reminiscing about their own childhood memories. The veteran smiled as he saw the joy on their faces, knowing that these simple activities were helping to strengthen their community bonds. As the sun began to set, the veteran gathered everyone together for a final reflection. He encouraged them to share their experiences of the day, and many voices chimed in, expressing gratitude for the opportunity to connect. Some talked about the friendships they had formed, while others shared how empowered they felt to take action in their own lives. The sense of community was palpable, and the veteran felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The first community day was deemed a success, and it inspired them to continue hosting these gatherings. Each month brought new themes and activities, keeping the community engaged and excited. They organized cleanup days, movie nights in the park, and even health fairs to promote well-being. The veteran was thrilled to see people of all ages participating and coming together. As the seasons changed, so did the nature of their gatherings. With winter approaching, They planned a holiday celebration that included a community potluck, where everyone could bring their favorite dishes to share. They decorated the community center together, transforming it into a warm and inviting space. The veteran felt a sense of warmth as he watched families come together, laughing and enjoying one another's company. During the holiday event, stories were shared and traditions were celebrated. The veteran encouraged everyone to reflect on what they were grateful for. It was a heartwarming moment as people spoke about their journeys, the support they found within the community, and the hope they felt for the future. The veteran knew that they had built something truly special. The community was no longer just a place where people lived. It had become a supportive network, a family united by shared values and experiences. The garden, the gatherings, and the friendships were all symbols of their resilience and determination to create a better life for themselves and each other. As the community thrived, the veteran noticed an inspiring change in the people around him. The garden, the events, and the strong bonds formed through shared experiences had transformed not just individuals, but the whole community. There was a sense of hope in the air, and people began to take pride in their neighborhood, looking out for one another in ways they hadn't before. One day, while working in the garden, the veteran was approached by a group of young people who had participated in the mentorship program. They had been brainstorming new ideas and wanted to pitch one to him. Curious and eager to hear what they had come up with, he invited them to sit down under the shade of a large tree. The group excitedly shared their idea. They wanted to start a community youth council. The goal of this council would be to give young people a voice in local decisions and projects. They believed that by having their own platform, they could express their ideas and concerns while also learning about how the community works. The veteran listened attentively, nodding as they spoke. He could see the passion in their eyes, and it filled him with pride to see them so eager to take on leadership roles. The young people explained that they wanted to organize regular meetings where they could discuss issues affecting their lives, such as education, safety, and community resources. They envisioned inviting local leaders to these meetings to ensure that their voices were heard. The veteran recognized the importance of this initiative. Young people often felt overlooked, and giving them a platform could empower them and foster a sense of responsibility. Together, they mapped out the next steps. The veteran helped them draft a proposal to present to the community and to local leaders. They discussed how they would reach out to other young people to invite them to join the council. The veteran encouraged them to share their personal stories and experiences to inspire others to get involved. It was heartening to watch them work together, brainstorming ideas and refining their plans. After a few weeks of hard work, they were ready to present their idea at the next community day. The veteran helped them prepare their presentation, ensuring they felt confident and ready to share their vision. As the day approached, he could see the excitement in their eyes, and he couldn't help but feel proud of the journey they had taken. When the day of the presentation arrived, the park was filled with families and community members, eager to participate in the festivities. The veterans stood off to the side, watching as the young people took the stage. They spoke clearly and passionately about the importance of creating a youth council. They shared stories of their experiences in the community, the challenges they faced, and their dreams for the future. The crowd listened intently, captivated by their words. After their presentation, the audience erupted in applause. The community was inspired by the enthusiasm and determination of the young people. Many voiced their support and expressed excitement about the idea. Local leaders who were present also stepped forward, offering to help and collaborate with the council once it was formed. The veteran felt a sense of joy wash over him as he witnessed the young people's hard work paying off. In the weeks that followed, the youth council officially began to take shape. The veteran mentored the council members, guiding them on how to run effective meetings and engage with the community. They created an open-door policy, encouraging young people to bring their ideas and concerns to the council. The response was overwhelming as more and more young people showed interest in joining. With their new platform, the Youth Council organized events to address issues they identified in their discussions. They launched a community cleanup initiative, where young people and their families worked together to beautify parks and public spaces. The veteran was thrilled to see the pride and ownership the young people took in their community. As the months passed, the Youth Council became a driving force in the community. They advocated for better resources in schools, held workshops on topics like mental health and wellness, and even organized a talent show to showcase local talent. The veteran watched with pride as these young leaders flourished, gaining confidence and skills that would serve them well into the future. The garden continued to thrive, and now it served as a gathering place not just for planting, but for meetings and events organized by the Youth Council. The veteran felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that he had played a role in nurturing not just plants, but the next generation of leaders. The journey they had embarked upon together had become a powerful testament to the strength of community, connection, and collaboration. As the Youth Council continued to thrive, the veterans saw how it had become a vital part of the community. The young leaders were not only taking charge of projects, but were also learning valuable lessons about responsibility and teamwork. The positive energy around them was infectious, and it inspired even more people to get involved. One afternoon, during a meeting at the community center, the young council members shared their latest ideas. They wanted to launch a community wellness fair to promote healthy living and provide resources for mental and physical health. The veteran listened as they brainstormed activities like yoga classes, nutrition workshops, and mental health seminars. He was impressed by their creativity and enthusiasm. The veteran encouraged them to think about how they could invite local health professionals to participate. Bringing in experts will help make the fair more impactful, he suggested. The young people nodded, excited about the possibility of learning from professionals in their community. They divided tasks among themselves, ensuring that everyone had a role to play in organizing the event. Over the next few weeks, the energy around the planning process was vibrant. The youth reached out to local doctors, nutritionists, and wellness coaches, inviting them to join the fair. They created posters and flyers to promote the event, using bright colors and bold letters to catch people's attention. The veteran helped them design a social media campaign, which further spread the word and generated buzz in the community. As the fair date approached, anticipation grew. The council members met regularly to finalize the details. They set up a schedule of activities, organized booths, and prepared materials for the workshops. The veteran was proud to see them taking ownership of the event. They were working together seamlessly, each person contributing their unique skills and ideas. On the day of the Community Wellness Fair, the sun shone brightly, and the park buzzed with excitement. Families arrived early, eager to see what the day had in store. Colorful tents lined the paths, each one filled with information, activities, and smiling faces. The veteran felt a rush of happiness as he watched the young leaders greet visitors with enthusiasm. The fair kicked off with a welcoming speech from the Youth Council. The young leaders expressed their gratitude to everyone for coming and explained the importance of health and wellness. The crowd applauded, and the energy in the air was electric. They invited everyone to explore the various booths and join in on the activities. Throughout the day, people participated in yoga classes, cooking demonstrations, and discussions about mental health. The veterans saw community members connecting with one another, sharing stories and resources. The atmosphere was filled with laughter and joy as families enjoyed the activities together. One booth focused on healthy eating, where a local nutritionist demonstrated how to make quick, nutritious meals. Families gathered around, eager to learn new recipes and tips for incorporating healthy foods into their diets. The veteran watched as children excitedly tasted fruits and vegetables, discovering flavors they had never tried before. In another area, a local therapist held a discussion about managing stress and building resilience. The young council members facilitated the session, encouraging participants to share their experiences and strategies. The veteran felt proud as he saw them leading with confidence, creating a safe space for open dialogue. As the fair continued, the veteran took a moment to reflect. He saw how far the community had come since that day in the park when everything started. People were coming together, sharing knowledge, and supporting one another in meaningful ways. The sense of community was stronger than ever. As the sun began to set, the fair wrapped up with a closing ceremony. The veterans stood among the crowd as the young leaders thanked everyone for their participation and support. They announced plans for future events, ensuring that the momentum would carry on. The audience erupted in applause, celebrating the success of the fair and the hard work that had gone into it. That night, as the veteran headed home, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The seeds they had planted in the community were growing into something beautiful. The garden, the mentorship program, and now the wellness fair were all interconnected threads of a larger story. They were all about fostering connection, support, and growth. The veteran realized that their journey was far from over. There would always be new challenges to face and new projects to embark on, but he knew they were ready. With the strength of their community behind them, he felt confident that they could tackle anything that came their way.